Welcome to Feng Shui Living, the podcast designed for busy women who want to de-stress, live with intention, and create a home that truly supports their well-being. Each week, I'll bring you practical tips, insightful ideas, and simple strategies to enhance both your home and your life. Let's get started. Hello there, and welcome to today's episode of Feng Shui Living. I am your host, Lisa Morton. I'm so happy you're here hanging out today. I have a fun episode planned, a little different. I actually had a totally different episode scheduled and in my calendar for today, and I decided to swap it. Here goes. We're just diving in. But first, I saw something today I wanted to talk about. Apparently online, there is a trend going around about turning your dining room into a restaurant. Now, not serving strangers, not opening your home to become a restaurant, but decorating it with a feeling of a restaurant. Kind of interesting. I was reading that people want to feel like they're going somewhere special. They want that date night to feel extra special. So maybe this is something you want to take on. Now, I love this. I think it's great. Over the years, I have taken a lot of dining rooms and turned them into a useful, functional space. There's nothing more sad than having a beautifully designed, furnished dining room that never goes in, or it gets used once or twice a year at a family holiday. I would much rather you use it and turn it into a space that really works for you. I've turned dining rooms into reading rooms, into lounges, into bar areas. So whatever works for you, there is no right or wrong way. There is no reason you have to have the traditional dining room. Do what works for you. So if you want to take this on, I would love to know how you're going to turn your dining room into a restaurant. Now, I saw a video of a girl installing the metal tiles, like she was trying to replicate their favorite restaurant at home for date night. So that could be a lot. Maybe you just simply want to upgrade and add some beautiful, luxurious draperies or a beautiful tablecloth that reminds you of your favorite restaurant. But let me know if you take this on. I'm very, very curious. So today we're talking about books. If you are a bookworm like me, then definitely stay tuned. But even if you're not a big reader, there are some really great books that I'm going to talk about today. So I'm sharing with you my favorite book collection that I return to often. Many of these books I may read every single year. I may open it. And if you've ever done that with a book, you know that you might open it and what you thought was in there the first time, it's a totally different story. Or you're reading it as a totally different person than when the first time you read it. So again, let me know if you have any of these experiences. But we're going to get into I have 6 books to share with you. Now, I love to read. I love the actual book in hand. Maybe you like to read on a Kindle or on your phone, however works for you. I do read fast. I read a lot. I actually found out in the past year that I am quite the speed reader. I always knew I read fast. In fact, it'd be funny because my husband and I would be, say, reading an article together. And I would be done with it, and he's still on the 3rd paragraph. I'm like, why are you so slow at reading? I didn't realize. And he's a very bright guy, right? But I didn't realize just how fast I read until I read Jim Quick's book. I believe it is called Limitless. I actually heard him speak maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. He is an amazing man. Okay, so if you have not read his book, it is really cool. He's a really cool guy. So in the book, he gives you he talks about speed reading, how to pick up your pace as you're reading, little tricks to implement. And then he gives you a speed reading test. And I did the test, and holy cow, I was already fast. And then I implemented those little tricks that he had. Wow, was I ever fast. Fascinating, really cool book. This guy, you should also Google him. Jim Kwik, Kwik. He has this amazing, amazing brain. He started out as he wasn't very smart as a child and struggled, and then wanted to make changes in his life when he was a young adult. And so he started reading and reading and reading, and now has crazy cool memorization. This guy, you can rattle off words and numbers, and he'll remember 50 numbers in a row and be able to recite it back to you. He'll also be able to recite it in reverse. Just mind blowing. Cool book. I don't have a copy here to show you if you're watching on video, but go check it out, Jim Kwik. Now, that wasn't even on my list. That's just another bonus. But okay, if you're on video, I'm going to show you the images. If you're not on video, if you're not watching on YouTube, then I will put links in the show notes. I'll also put links in my weekly newsletter. So make sure you're getting the newsletter to get these links, okay? Number one, this is a very special book. This was my first Feng Shui book. And I'll say Feng Shui book that I loved, that I understood, and that I enjoyed. So I talked about writing my book. I'm in the process of writing a book all about creating an intentional home and all about Feng Shui and beautiful practices and routines to implement into your home. When I first picked up a Feng Shui book or two, I would read the book and I was so confused. I would read a second book. I was even more confused. I didn't understand. And that's something I've always struggled with, is that it seems so difficult, so confusing. On one hand, it seems easy. You know these tips and tricks to implement, but when you want to dive deep, what's a bagua? I remember thinking for years it was called a bagua map before I did any training, right? But it can feel like a lot. So that is my goal, is to simplify it. It doesn't have to be so hard. And I explain why different books might read a little different, or they might implement something different. Okay. But this book that I'm going to share with you is one of my favorites. It really helped me dive into Feng Shui. It is called Feng Shui with What You Have: Maximum Harmony, Minimum Effort. Now, this is written by Connie Sproul and Sylvia Watson. I trained with Sylvia one-on-one before I did any certification courses. We would just set up a phone call and she would teach me about Feng Shui. I really, really enjoyed it. Now, this book is actually not in print anymore. But if you're lucky, you pop into a used bookstore, you might find a copy. Over the years, I've found probably half a dozen. And of course, I snag them and just put them on my bookshelf and give them away to certain people. But this is a really fun book. What I love about it is it's Feng Shui with what you have. You don't have to invest anything. That is something I love. You don't have to invest a ton of money to have a big result. There's, let's see, they talk about the basics of Feng Shui, but then easy things you can implement. This is where I discovered shop your home. So many people have so many things in a basement closet, in a hall closet, in the garage that they can easily bring in to alter the energy of their space. There's also a really fun chapter in here about clearing clutter and the different locations of clutter and what that might mean to you. For example, if the entrance to your home or office or your business, it has excessive clutter, it might indicate a lack of concern about first impressions or possibly a fear of relationships. Really cool. Aromatherapy, there's mood setting themes, placement, really fun stuff. Again, out of print, I'm so sad, but it's so good. If you find one, let me know. I can't wait for you to read that. If you really want a copy, let me know. I'll see if I have an extra on my bookshelf and pop one in the mail to you. Now, number 2, this is not a Feng Shui book, but this was a book that, I don't know, I just love, absolutely love. And you may have read this, Anatomy of the Spirit by Carolyn Myss. Am I pronouncing that right? Miss? I always thought it was Mies. I don't know. Anyway, fantastic book. So good. I've read it over and over. She goes through the 7 chakras and talks about energy medicine. I have this one paragraph I wanted to share with you. Everything that is alive pulsates with energy, and all of this energy contains information. While it is not surprising that practitioners of alternative or complementary medicine accept this concept, even some quantum physicists acknowledge the existence of an electromagnetic field generated by the body's biological processes. Scientists accept that the human body generates electricity because living tissue generates energy. Goes on to talk about your physical body being surrounded by energy fields that extend as far out as your outstretched arms and the full length of your body, and then goes through the 7 chakras, goes through so much, and it is a fantastic book. If you've never read this book, grab it, read it at least once. I think this will be a book that, like me, it will stick on your shelf and you'll pull it out. Maybe you won't read every chapter. Maybe you'll just pick out one section. The next book, it's an oldie, but it's a goodie, and it is Healing Environments by Carol Vanolia. Again, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Healing Environments. It's an old book. When I don't know how old this is. Let's see, 1988. I was 8 years old. But it's really a good book. As you can tell, I love this. I have things dog-eared. I have things marked. She talks about color, and I want to share this. Color has the ability to serve man's physiological and psychological needs and to keep him on an even keel in times of stress. You guys know I love color. There's great information on color in here. It also talks about the indoor air quality. It talks about plants and gardens, just creating healing environments. And it's old, but it's so good. Again, I open it over and over. Now, the next one is Between Heaven and Earth, A Guide to Chinese Medicine by Harriet Benfield and Ephraim Korngold. Now, I will say this. I am not a doctor of Chinese medicine, but I loved this book to help me understand the 5-element theory in a deeper way. So there are areas in here talks about medical stuff, and it's in depth and it's a lot, and it can feel overwhelming, but it's really good. So if you have any interest in Chinese medicine, in acupuncture, you love Feng Shui, this could be really interesting. There's an expert in here all about Feng Shui. Medical understanding was generated from ideas about nature. According to the ancient Chinese art of practical ecology, known as Feng Shui, and then we know Feng Shui means wind and water. The earth has veins of energy that course through it, hold it together, and act as a grid from which all life derives its power. The movement of wind and water reflects the activity of qi. The forces of qi can work to our advantage or disadvantage. By closely observing the formations of the mountains, growth of trees, flow of water, movement of wind, and patterns of light and shadow, the practitioner of Feng Shui places us in a favorable relationship to these forces to derive maximum benefit from the environment. The object is to align human dwellings, objects, and activities with the current of qi. I love that. So good. So check out that book, Between Heaven and Earth, A Guide to Chinese Medicine. Now, I have 2 more book recommendations for you, and neither of these are new. They're just really, really good. These are not books that maybe I read every day, but I love to think about. Okay, so this is The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. Love Brené Brown. This book I might touch base with every so often. I am a recovering perfectionist. I have to remember to find authenticity. And if you listen to the podcast, you know that is so important to me. My editor, the only thing he edits out is like if I have a coughing fit. If I say like or that's just part of it because we're having a conversation. I might burst into laughter. I don't know, but I want it to be very authentic because I'm a recovering perfectionist. I want it to feel really authentic. And gosh, guys, it feels so good to me. So I hope you appreciate that. I hope you don't mind the few ums or ahs or whatever happens. I've even been known to be talking so much with my hands that I bump into the mic, and it's a thing. Anyway, if you struggle with perfectionism, you must read this book, The Gifts of Imperfection. Let go of who you think you're supposed to be and embrace who you are. I had a quote in here I wanted to share with you guys. Kind of nice. By Christopher K. Germer. A moment of self-compassion can change your entire day. A string of such moments can change the course of your life. I love this book. She talks about so many different ways to bring in compassion and self-care and to forgive yourself for having to feel perfect. And then the last book is A Secret Language of Signs by Denise Linn. I reference this all the time. Say I'm seeing a fox in the backyard all the time. I'll look up to see what that means. It is so fun. Talks about signs, how to decipher them, and I think it's a lot of fun. So check it out. Again, The Secret Language of Signs by Denise Linn. It's another oldie but goodie. Well, friends, I hope you enjoyed this review of some of my favorite books. Let me know what your favorite books are. Let me know. If you enjoyed this episode or you know a bookworm like me, then pass this episode along. Share a link to them. Okay, friends, we'll see you at the next episode. Take care. Special thanks to our sponsor, Elevated Living School of Holistic Design and Feng Shui. For more information, head over to the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, give us a 5-star review, and share this episode with a friend. We'll see you next time.